dynamic and relevant organization. Though yes, over the years, the role of market participants, market regulators has also changed. So let us see what has been the change. But at the center, at the core of SEBI's policy, you find three I's. So by three I's, I mean investors, I mean intermediaries, and I mean the issuers. So SEBI is formulating policies. SEBI is working towards the safeguarding of these market participants. Over the years, yes, as I was discussing that now IPO के लिए SEBI has made the disclosure requirements have been tightened. So uh, this is just 2-3 days back. And then for preferential allotment, what is preferential allotment? Can anyone tell me what is preferential allotment?
Ma'am,
हाँ जी.
ma'am, depending upon the number of lots we are applying for, we are
हम्म,
given the allotment. Like lot system में होता है ना कि 15 around 15,000 का एक lot होता है.
हम्म,
Then depending on it कि जैसे ओवर सब्सक्राइब्ड हो गया,
हम्म.
देन अगर मैंने 5 लॉट्स के लिए अप्लाई करा है ना, आपने 2 के लिए अप्लाई करा है, तो मैम उसी रेशियो में हमको अलॉटमेंट मिल जाएगी इन केस ऑफ
आ,
ओवर सब्सक्रिप्शन.
वो तो बेटा प्रो राटा हो गया ना जो आप बोल रहे हो. दैट इज प्रो
मैम
राटा जो
प्रेफरेंशियल में भी यही
बट
होता है बिकॉज
प्रेफरेंशियल. हाँ हाँ, आप बोलो आप बोलो.
मैम बिकॉज ओवर सब्सक्रिप्शन में कईयों को नहीं मिलता एंड कईयों को मिल जाता है, एंड जिनको मिलता है उनको भी इसी वे में मिलता है.
वो आपकी चीज जो आप बात कर रहे हो, दैट इज व्हाट आई एम सेइंग. दैट टर्म इज proportionate allotment और pro rata allotment, जहां पर ओवर सब्सक्रिप्शन होती है. एंड प्रैक्टिकली इफ वी टॉक अबाउट the IPOs today, then what is happening is कि जो हाईएस्ट प्राइस आपका जिसपे मैक्सिमम बिड्स आती हैं उस प्राइस पर इशू होते हैं शेयर. एंड देन देयर इज लॉटरी सिस्टम. तो वो प्रपोर्शनल
यस मैम, लाइक
अलॉटमेंट.
मैम लॉट का साइज जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल प्राइस रेंज है
हाँ
58, 59, 60 एंड मोस्टली 60 पे बिड करते हैं. देन
हाँ
दे आर
हाँ
प्रेफर्ड जिन्होंने 60 पे ही बिड करा है उनको मिले.
हाँ, वो आपका अलॉटमेंट ऑफ शेयर्स है. दैट इज नॉट प्रेफरेंशियल अलॉटमेंट. दैट इज अलॉटमेंट ऑफ शेयर्स इन बुक बिल्डिंग प्रोसेस आईपीओ के अंडर. ओके ऋतिक. Mudassir and Nipun, yes, rightly said, when the allotment of shares is given to specific groups. So company, instead of going to the public to raise money, one of the ways of raising money इन दी प्राइमरी मार्केट इज टू गो फॉर प्रेफरेंशियल अलॉटमेंट. तो वहां पर वो एक स्पेसिफिक ग्रुप ऑफ इंडिविजुअल्स या एंटिटीज के पास जाती है, जैसे फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस या बैंक्स या कुछ बड़े ब्रोकर्स के पास जाती है टू सब्सक्राइब टू दी शेयर्स. So primary dealers would be a better term. So to subscribe to the shares of the company. So that is what is preferential allotment. So in the primary market, which is the first issue market, IPO is not the only way of raising money. There are different routes which we will be discussing at length in the next unit. But yes, there SEBI has brought about changes in preferential allotment, and वहाँ पर लॉक-इन पीरियड होता है of the shares, so that has been reduced from 1 year to 6 months. So SEBI is bringing about changes with the objective of safeguarding the interest of the three major players in the market, who are issuers, intermediaries, and investors. So their changes keep on happening. Okay. Now, what is the organizational structure of SEBI? Now, SEBI is a demutualized entity. Demutualization means the owners. which means जैसे कंपनीज एक्ट में जब हम यू आर हैविंग लॉ इन दिस यूनिट यस 6th यूनिट में यू हैव लॉ यस और नो so there under the companies act you will see that companies are registered as separate legal entities under the companies act and the management and ownership are two different concepts there. So same is for the same organizational structure is followed in SEBI as well. It is working as a corporate sector. So the ownership and management are two different aspects of running or structure of SEBI. So again, the central head office is in Mumbai. Mumbai is the financial capital of India, and then there are branch offices in the other three metropolitans. The chairman is a person of ability, integrity, and who has capacity in dealing with the market related issues. Moving ahead, as already discussed, the purpose and role of SEBI is to meet the needs of three group of players of the market. So issuers, so that they can raise money fairly and easily, though their IPO rules, because IPO market has seen a lot of activity in the past financial year past and even prior to that, especially in the post pandemic time, the primary market has seen numerous IPOs. So, there, in order to ensure that proper rules are followed and disclosure norms are followed, SEBI has brought about changes. Then the investors. Investors need to be protected. They are at the forefront of all the policy improvements brought about by SEBI. So, as to ensure that the issuers are not taking advantage of the investors or in any way the investor interest is protected. That is the main role of SEBI. And then for intermediaries, that is the issuing houses, the brokers, the other players in the market, like the primary dealers, there they are working in a competitive environment and they are not bypassing any rules of the market. That is the main role of SEBI. Okay, let's move ahead with the objectives of SEBI. So, objective and subsequently we'll be discussing the functions of SEBI to regulate the stock exchange, to protect the interest, to prevent fraudulent practices in the market. That is very, very, very important role of SEBI. So, they keep check on the price movements in the market. They keep a check on the disclosure norms and insider trading and price rigging. So let's move directly to the functions. Then we'll discuss at length. So, functions of SEBI, first and foremost, classification of functions is under the protective domain. So, protective functions performed by SEBI, price rigging. Now, this is something which SEBI keeps a check on, and one of the latest reports released by SEBI says that price rigging has fallen in the market, but insider trading has increased in the market. So, price rigging is when uh, some players in the market collude with each other and artificially raise the demand for certain shares, and then they are actually manipulating the price and they are taking advantage of the same. So price rigging. Now there have been multiple cases last year. Actually, price rigging is also triggered by fraudulent rumors spread in the market. So rumors spread करे जाते हैं market में, and then that will lead to some supply demand changes, and there are certain section of investors who take the advantage at the cost of the general public. So there was a rumor that Vodafone is being acquired, or there's some investment taking place from some private equity firm in Vodafone that triggered the prices by almost 50%. So that kind of influence is exercised, and that leads to benefit to a certain section of investors. On the other hand, now price rigging proof करना सेबी के लिए ज़्यादा difficult हो जाता है than proving insider trading. Now, insider trading is when people or entities related to the company, they have access to some classified information, and then they take the advantage of that information to make profits before that information comes to the knowledge of the public. So वहां पर जो भी sensitive undisclosed information होती है कंपनी की, उसका access जो भी insiders को होता है, so say annual results आने हैं कंपनी के, और company is going for some merger, it is still in the initial discussion stages, or it is on the verge of finalization, and before a public announcement is made, people who are party to such confidential information, they start buying the shares of the company, because they are hopeful that once this merger is announced, the prices of the shares will go up, and then they'll be able to exit the market at a profit. So such kind of activities are under the continuous surveillance of SEBI. Moving ahead, again, SEBI prohibits any fraudulent or unfair trade practices for all the three section of players in the market. Side by side, SEBI is taking a lot of steps to educate the investors. So, as the vibrancy in the market, as the participation in the market has increased, the number of instruments, type of instruments, and the required knowledge and expertise related to dealing in them has also changed. So, SEBI takes this initiative of disseminating that information among the actual investors as well as the prospective investors. So when you hear the information about mutual funds, so that is all disclosure or awareness campaigns which are run by SEBI and AMFI ki wahan par investors should know that mutual funds are also subject to market risk. So apart from that, SEBI is promoting fair practices, and if there are any cases related to insider trading or some unfair trade practice being taken place in some company which is brought out in the open via whistleblower or something like that. So in such cases also SEBI is fully engaged and has rights and authorities to look into such scams. Coming to the second category of functions, which are the developmental functions. So, developmental functions may how it is promoting and developing activities and trying to increase the business in the stock exchange. So, it is providing training to the intermediaries, then it is trying to increase the economy of operations in the market. Internet trading is being followed, and then IPOs are permitted to stock exchange. So these are over the years the developmental functions, how they have tried to increase the participation in the market. So जो भी policy reforms हैं, they all come under the developmental functions. And then regulatory functions. So they are regulating the market participants. There is a code of conduct which needs to be followed by all the intermediaries, and intermediaries are under strict supervision of SEBI. It registers and regulates the working of market participants, mutual funds, takeover of companies, and other related issues to the financial markets are under the regular supervision of SEBI. So, this is what has been the role of SEBI, and this is changing and strengthening over the years. So, now we'll stop here with respect to the topic which we are covering in Unit 1 today. But we are coming closer to Budget 2022. So now there will be multiple discussions in the class which will be related to, say, first, before the budget, what are the expectations from the budget, what are the demands that the firms are making to the financial minister, and then to what extent we will see post the budget, to what extent those demands or those expectations have been met. We'll also be discussing the economic survey, which comes one day prior to the budget. So, when is the budget coming? 2022. Which date? Yes, class. So, the budget comes out on 1st February 2022. Yes, right. So, 1st February. And if you keep reading, then you will find a lot of material as to say what kind of leverage is expected by the players in the market. There, one of the prominent demands that have been made by firms is that they want direct listing in the foreign exchanges. तो अभी तक क्या रूट फॉलो होता है, अभी तक जो फर्म्स मर्ज हो रही हैं फॉरेन फर्म्स के साथ, if and only if they are listed on the Indian stock exchanges, they are allowed to get listed directly on the foreign exchanges. Now, in the upcoming budget, the firms have reached out to the government that they should allow even the unlisted Indian companies to get listed abroad. So this will help reaching a far better audience there in the foreign markets, and it will also give a push to fundraising of the domestic firms, the Indian firms which are till date not be, able to get listed on foreign exchange directly or through amalgamation or merger, if they are not listed on the domestic stock exchanges. So, in this regard, the government had announced that it will implement the regulations in 2020, but that I think got delayed because of the situation we were in the last to last financial year. So, this is something which we'll be looking out for when we are analyzing the current budget. Okay, apart from this, we